What's up, everybody? And welcome to episode 3 of the Fit Fat Dad podcast. What's up, Blair?
G Money, how's it going,
Hey,
bud?
hey, baby. We're coming at you with a little poop in your life today.
Poop in your life. I'm
Right.
about to have a lot more of that in May.
Absolutely, man. So, hey, it is the Fit Fat Dad podcast where it's two dads who are kind of fit and kind of fat, who are going to talk all things dad. And, like we always like to say, stay fit to be hard to kill. But, Blair, what's the other side? Oh, man. Fat enough to love comfortably, baby.
Fat enough to love comfortably. Yeah, you put me on the spot.
It's only episode 3.
I know.
I'll give you grace. You'll get it together.
That's right.
It's good. So, hey, man.
I like the fit part. I like the fit part, the front part. I try not to think about the back part. It is who we are. I mean, we're two big guys, right?
Two big guys.
I focus on the fit enough to hard to be kill. That's kind of what I focus on.
That's the better part of it. Rotund is not a something that we want to describe ourselves as, but
and then there's the reality side of it, right?
There's the reality. So, hey, I want to kick things off. It's Super Bowl week. Who do you like in the Super Bowl?
Dude, I got to go with the Eagles, man. I'm not a big NFL guy. But I love Jalen's story, man, and just everything about that dude from the time he's Alabama, even transferring out and going to Oklahoma. So I'm a big Alabama fan. So
yeah, go. Well, hey, same with me. I mean, I think there's 10 people on the Crimson Tide on that team. There's not really, but I'm going Eagles too because there is a Sanford Bulldog, James Bradbury, lined up at cornerback, who is one of the top corners in the league. And I hope he's corner. He could be safety. This shows you how much I follow the league. But
DB, man.
DB, bro. You got a Sanford Bulldog representing. We need a Sanford Super Bowl.
That's right.
These people who have no idea about us, Blair, they're like, why are you guys rambling about that? But, hey, let's keep the train moving. I like that pick. Eagles for the win on Sunday. Right. All right, double Eagle. So, hey, let's move it to the hashtag dad life moment. And I don't know why I say hashtag like we're going to hashtag that in this video about a show, but it feels right. I mean, shows you how much we know about social. So, look, we're going to toy around with a little bit of technology today on this stream. And for our audio listeners, it may be a little bit uncomfortable for you because, one, I'm not good with technology and sharing video. And unless you're watching on YouTube, you're not going to see it. So I'm going to need to get a little color commentary on this to make it right. So the hashtag dad life moment is I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. Right.
Absolutely, man.
And since this is the Fit Fat Dad podcast, we're going to put this in the fitness arena. So Blair, last week, you and I kind of dusted off the competitive greatness. And it wasn't intentional. It was, we both, obviously you own the gym, so you're always there. But I showed up at the class that you were working out in, and the next thing is history. I don't think we meant for it to happen, but you work side by side, and I know that you're one rep up, and then I've got to push a little harder and so forth. But this particular workout called for muscle ups. And for those that aren't familiar with CrossFit or doing crazy exercises, that is the muscle up, being the gym owner that you are and the fitness connoisseur, why don't you explain the muscle up for those listening, Blair?
Well, let's break that down. So you are hanging from a pull-up bar, and you go from dead hanging underneath that pull-up bar to getting your body all the way up on top of the pull-up bar and then pressing out into a lockout position, holding yourself up. So the bar is now at your hips. And let me just say this, big guys like you and I, it's a pretty challenging movement. I'm just going to throw it out there. Not a lot of big guys can do muscle ups. So
how many big guys can actually do pull-ups though too, right? And when we say big, you got to be over the 250, 250 weight limit. And I hate to say this because in my mind, this is not where I'm at. I weighed in the video that we're going to show in the exact clothing at a nice 265. And you told me that you came in at what body weight, Blair?
I was about 278-ish on that day.
278-ish, right? Yeah. I like the precision accuracy that you had with that. Hey, that's some big boy. And we're on the same bar. And that's one welded bar, and the columns supporting that bar, oh, man, let's say a prayer for those things that it held, because I thought we were going to pull the building down. Hey, so let's just give this a try. I'm going to try to show this in, and let's do a little color commentary. So what I'm doing, I'm pulling up the video, and this is you and me, Blair, standing side by side, trying to do a synchronized muscle up. So let me pull this thing up here. And
While you're pulling this up, my mindset right now is don't miss this rep. It's
my
on video.
mindset is when I jump to grab the bar, don't miss the bar. How well, I'm gonna play it here.
Go.
And we're approaching the bar. We get the bar.
Oh gosh.
So
Blair
I hit
fail.
it. I hit it like a champ. Like, I'm just gonna brag on myself right there.
Absolutely.
I didn't think I would hit it that good, and I'm not sure what happened to you, Blair. So walk us through what happened to you in
Yeah. So this was at the end. And so I'm like, all right, we're getting this on the film. Here we go. It's game time. Let's go. So as you can see in the video, I mean, when I say synchronized, guys, we're pretty synchronized. Like, I mean, full movement, ready to roll. We're up top. Like, all right, this pull. And I can tell as soon as I start to get pulling up and I get that bar right where I need to be, I did not sit up and get my body weight over that bar. And I was like, I just messed this whole thing up. But you know what? You got to roll with it. It is what it is. And now everybody that ever watches this gets to see Blair fail a rep at muscle ups.
Well, some would say it was the dad bod that got hung up on the bar.
That's very possible, man.
I'm going to call it technique, but some may say that. So what I'm going to pull up here, Blair, I can't let you go out like that. So what we have here is, all right, this is you.
Now we're rolling.
Perfect, baby. That is 280 pounds looking like butter, baby.
That's
butter.
Right.
So you pull yourself up on the bar and you press yourself above it. That's 280 pounds of pure manliness conquering the world right there.
That's right. That's right.
And, let's just play. Look, hey, I know you can't. Those not watching on YouTube, you can't. But this is butter, baby.
Love it. See, it's still in there, man. It's been years. I think I was telling you prior to that workout, like, you're jamming it. I'm like, I hadn't done this in forever. I've been doing, triathlon training, getting ready for my Ironmans. I hadn't done a lot of body weight stuff. And then it's like, all right. And even prior to this, like, I was just doing strict pull-ups, right? Because I've kind of got a thing. I'm like, look, because big boys are strict pull-ups. They don't mix. So I said, no kipping, nothing like that. We're focused on strict pull-ups. And then, of course, like you talked about, you're in there. I'm like, dang, he's doing muscle ups. All right, I'll wait. Let me get warmed up, and then I'll try to hit it. So, it was good. Dusted it off a little bit.
Look like butter. I'm going to self brag and say I have not done a muscle up prior to that workout, or attempted, in well over a year and a half. And I knocked out 25 during that workout, all singles for the way. But to the hashtag dad life moment, we're going to wrap this up because people probably just abandoned the show right now. I jammed my knee on the dismount, didn't realize it at the time, and I've been walking around hobbled for the last 2 weeks, all because I had to relive my prime, man. Like,
that's right. You always have to as dads.
There's no reason
no
for us to be doing muscle ups.
No, I agree.
It's that dad moment. You got to prove yourself in front of everybody. So we did, and I'm walking around with a hobbled knee, and I think I've invested in every hyper ice recovery piece of technology that they own now to get back on track.
It was the hold my beer moment. I think you have those, right?
Absolutely. Come on, man. Hey, so we'll keep the train moving on this show. So let's revisit what we talked about last week. You discussed the poop in your life, and you shared a really funny story about getting out a curtain rod and kind of moving around your daughter's undergarments.
Yep.
To just moving around the top. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole, but you touched it with a curtain rod.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
So we laughingly joked about the poop in our life, but episode 3 is the poop in our life. And we're going to get a little symbolic on the poop in our life. And Blair, we were just talking about some of the things that happened. So I'm going to kick it over to you. What is some areas that is poop in our lives that may be unavoidable, that, what is that? Open us up for.
So the first one that really comes to mind and stands out for me, because it's always there and there's always lingering, is unexpected circumstances in all aspects, right? I mean, this could be, you're driving down the road and you catch a flat tire. I mean, that's poop, right? Or it could be as big as, hey, in 2020, we're getting ready to give birth to my daughter. We're in the hospital on a Tuesday. We're there till Friday. We come home on Friday, and this is March. And then, oh, by the way, the government, the world's going to shut down, and you're no longer can people attend your gyms and come in to work out the next Tuesday. What? I mean,
So,
how do
so
you how
when
do
is
you handle
when
that
is Bennett's
situation?
birthday? What is her exact birthday?
March 10th. March 10th is the exact birthday. And then it was, I think, the world shut down the next Tuesday. So March 17th, the world shut down and no
Oh,
gyms couldn't operate for till I think it was 2 months before we were able to open our doors back up and to let our clients come back in the door. So that is big poop. How do you handle that situation? And I think so it's the small things all the way to the big things, but I think it's how you handle your situations. And as dads, and just in general, you have options, right? You can either let it grind you down and just sulk about it, or you can pull it by your bootstraps. I mean, I know this is kind of cliche, but it is. It's the truth. And not every time do I pull myself up by the bootstraps. I mean, I don't. There have been times, and maybe this is for conversations later in my life, where friends and family and God has had to intervene and say, "Look, dude, you got to change your mentality." So,
so let's talk about that a little bit more because that is very interesting. If I can't believe it's been 3 years since COVID,
yep,
but to as a dad in your shoes, and I'm sure there's a lot of dads that experience the miracle of life right about that time. But take us through what were you feeling, like what fears or concerns did you have? Because I mean, a week before the world shut down, and then all this fear and panic that was just pushed in through the media, pushed in through I mean, anybody on the street, your friend, everywhere you go, that's a lot. And you've got a brand new child that is, as her immune system is as clean as it can be, but probably super vulnerable in your mind. So
yeah.
walk me through, like, where was you and your wife Ricky? Where was your mindset? How did you lead as a father during this time period? That's a very interesting place to be, a season of life during, we'll call it, the shutdown of the world. So take us through that.
Yeah. So you asked me about mindset. So my wife and I are very different on how we view things. She's naturally more of a worrier and, just about everything. She worries about everything. And that's just kind of who she is. And I'm like the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm maybe don't worry enough, right? And so it was an interesting the dynamic when we were bringing, because we didn't know, so we get, my daughter's name is Bennett, so we get Bennett home, and my son goes to daycare on Monday, and we kind of starting to hear these grumblings come out, and then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, everything's shut down, you can't go to the grocery store, can't do anything. And so, my wife's mindset was, oh my gosh, like how long is this going to last? How are we going to get formula? Right. I mean, if we need it, how are we going to be able to go to the grocery store? And my mindset, I'm like, a country boy can survive. Like, here we
Let's
go.
go.
We're going to the woods, that's just kind of how my mind works. But I think it was very worrisome more from not my wife and I, but for my kids. Like, okay, so how is the world going to change for my children? Like, are we going to have to pivot? Am I going to have income, right, from the businesses? So it was looking at those types of things, and are we going to have to homeschool, right? I mean, are we going to be able to get out of our house? How am I going to educate them? So how are we going to be able to explain this to them as they grow up, at this point of our lives? So it was just a lot, man. It was a lot. But I think had I not been grounded in my faith, and I think you and I have talked about this quite a lot about trying not to worry, had I not have my faith in everything happens for a reason and God has his hands in everything,
Yeah.
it would have been way, way, way worse than what it was to internalize.
Yeah. I mean, and COVID was tough on everybody. And, but to be bringing a child into the world a week before the world shutting down, and then to be a business owner, an owner of two gyms here in town, and a gym where multiple people are coming in, they're touching everything, and they're in close contact, close quarters. And hey, you've got to shut down. And I can only imagine where your head was at in terms of, hey, brought a new child in the world. Oh, concerned about her health, you know, Adler's health, your other, your son, and then our health. And then on top of that, I could potentially be losing clients, members, income. The gym may shut down. There may not be money coming in.
Yep.
That could be a dark place. And you were never in that place. You were always just your joy, and you may have had some worries internally, but you never externally allowed them to show. So
Duck on a pond, man. Duck
duck
on
on
a
a pond.
pond.
So what would be your advice to anybody listening, or dads, to how do you navigate through the unexpected? Is there you talk about faith, but is there also some level of you had a plan in place, or you had something that you could look into the future, that if things didn't work this way, here would be my other plan. Here is how I could help navigate around that. Like, what would you say to somebody that may be struggling with some unexpected news or circumstances?
Yeah, I mean, I think always, I mean, always have a plan in place, you know, and that's ideal, right? I never, from the business side of things, never did I have my wildest dreams to think I would be told by our government, hey, people can't come into your business and train. So the blessing on it was that we have amazing clients that supported us and they wanted that gym, and that's nothing but God, like 100%. Like, people continued to pay their memberships through this while we were shut down so that we could pay our coaches and be able to come back. And that's a God thing, right? So I think you lean into faith, and then I think you have to have a mindset of, this is, and we talk about this earlier in the episodes, a season of life you're in. And this is just a season, and there is an end to it. And if you view, in my opinion, if you view life in seasons, there's always something to look forward to, right? There's always something to look forward to. If you view it as in, well, this is my life, then what is there to look forward to? And I think it comes back to faith too, right? So I know that, when I pass here, I have something to look forward to. Like, this isn't the end all be all for Blair. Like, there's something greater than what this earth could ever provide. And knowing that, it just makes life easier. It really
Yeah,
does. And you're able to unpack things and break it down. Well, this was a moment in my life, but it's not the end of it. Like, I can go and do things. So that's what I would say, is just understand it's a moment in time, but that moment in time is not going to last forever. And
yeah.
just that's the way I would approach it. In my advice.
That's good advice on how to flush that poop down the toilet, right?
That's
That's
right,
how
man. I,
to clean it
I
up.
see what you did there.
So, hey, we'll keep it moving. So I want to bring up one, and I call it stinking thinking. How about that? Stinking thinking for poop in your life.
I like it, man.
And negative mindset is what I
Yep.
mean by that. And you have a coach, Ken Darby, who is former Alabama running back, played in the NFL. And one of the things he always says is, "Get your mind right. Get your
Absolutely.
mind right. You got to get your mind right." And the poop in your life is stinking thinking. And there's so many things, and we talked about the unexpected circumstances, and a negative mindset. When those things happen, if that's where you naturally go, it's real easy to have a victim mentality
Yep.
where you blame the circumstance, or you blame everybody around you, and there's no ownership. There's no acceptance of, hey, here are the things that have happened. I can't control it, but here is what I can control. Instead, you kind of get in this dark space of, well, why is this only happening to me? Why did this person get something besides me? And it's just a real terrible place to be. And that leads to negative self-talk, where it's, I can't do this. I can't be a leader in my family. People think negatively of me. I'm not going to be. Uh, any position to make this better. And that's a huge poop in your life. And people laugh at this, but there is a lot to be said with positive self-talk.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Even if you only internalize that,
Yep.
but I've found if I'm positive in my own mindset, I'm naturally positive to other people. And when you're positive to other people, you see the joy, you see the light, that they receive it, it bounces off of you or bounces off of them back onto you. And that gives you joy. So I think there's just a lot of to be said in a positive mindset that you continually talk to yourself, hey, bad things have happened, but here's how I'm going to get about it. Here's how
That's
I'm
right.
going to overcome it. Here's how I'm going to conquer it. So
Well,
go ahead.
it's funny. It's funny. It's funny that you say that. Because I think as men, one and two, as dads, there's a lot of pressure. There is. There's a lot of pressure, and those thoughts can creep in. Like, in the age of social media and podcasts, and why, it's easy to look at it and be like, well, why don't I have those things, or why is this person more quote unquote successful, and what am I doing wrong? Why am I not elevated in my career? Why am I not, driving in the nicest truck? And I think where if you let those thoughts build up, it's just going to beat you down. It really is.
Comparison.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't compare. You have to look at what's going on in your life. And if you want those things, okay, well, create a plan, right? That plan, but you know what? That plan is not going to be perfect. I think there's an old meme out there. God, your plan is straight up the mountain, and God's plan is up and down and rocks and all that stuff like that. But as long as you're moving forward and you have a goal that you want to achieve, I mean, that's the end game, right? Is that shining star?
So the question that I kind of asked when I voiced this negative thinking, stinking thinking, is how do you get out of it if you're in that? And for me, it is about routine, and I call it avoid the rush. So as dads, whether you have one kid, multiple kids, however many kids, whether you're married, divorced, whatever, there are commitments that you have to have. And it's almost as a dad, as soon as you roll out of bed, those commitments are waiting on you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you rush right into the commitment, it's one after the other, after the other, after the other, and it takes a toll on you, and it begins to have stress, and it begins to build up and build up and build up. And then that's where that victim mentality starts to happen. That's where that, hey, nobody gives me time. There's no, I do everything for everybody and nobody pours back into me, yada, yada, yada. So I call it avoid the rush. And I know that we've talked about this before, but it's making time for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be at 4:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. You have to be disciplined enough to get ahead of the rush and slow things down,
Yep.
because the pace of life's not going to it's not going to slow down. There's too many people that want to absorb your energy, take your commitments, and take your time, and time is the most valuable resource that we have.
That's right.
So you got to avoid the rush and make time for yourself. So what I do, and what my routine has been, you challenged me to the 75 hard, which
Yep.
you're not doing. I'm going to call you out because
Yep.
you're so that's
I failed.
everybody listening. Accountability. He put me on it, and I've been doing good, but you
I
haven't.
failed.
So, but what I've learned about it is it's not so much and for those listening, it's doing 2 workouts a day. One of those has to be outside, and then some other various things that you have to do. But I've been using that outside workout to get up in the morning and go walk outside, whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, whether it's perfect weather, cold, hot, doesn't matter. I get out there and walk for 45 minutes, and I put on some worship music, or I'll put on a sermon, or sometimes I'll put on some old school hip hop just to get it going.
Yep.
But that's allows me to get out in front of the rush, have time in prayer, time with God, which I think is the most important thing to start your day off. Lay all your requests, lay all your concerns, lay all your desires at the feet of Jesus, let him handle that. And then it's one, you're getting great exercise. You're allowing your brain to just purge everything that's stressing you out. And then it's just you really connect spiritually. And I call that avoiding the rush. And that helps me avoid stinking thinking, because if I don't have that, and I crave that now, that's part of my routine. But if I don't have that, I can get sideways real quick and one request after the other. But that allows me, and this is what I try to preach it to everybody. When I'm in a right mindset, I focus on controlling what I can control.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not, things that I can't control, unexpected circumstances, whatever, things that just aren't fair. If I'm not in the right mindset, those things start to affect me. But
Absolutely.
if I am, I put all my energy into how can Graham react to this? How can Graham navigate? Like, what is in Graham's control to get to a better place? So, what do you do, Blair? What is your positive mindset, avoiding stinking thinking? Do you have a routine, or do you do anything specific?
Yeah. So somebody told me this, and I can't remember, long time ago, and it was maybe I was at a seminar or listening to a podcast, another podcast or whatever. I was consuming something, and they said turn your car into a university, like with the ability to stream things now, listen to audiobooks and worships and sermons. Like, you know, it's funny. My wife, she'll ask, well, hey, did you hear this new song or these things? I can't tell you the last time I actually listened to music in my car. Right? It's always, I try to do worship music on the way into work in the morning. It's like that's my time, right? And congratulations for getting up quite early in the morning and staying on that path. It's hard. It's not easy. But that's what I do. Right? That's my time for myself is in the car. And when I do that, it's not consuming. It's not consuming music. It's consuming books on how to better myself. It's I do listen to sermons, listen to worship music, business books, anything that I can help me stay in the positive mindset. Because if you listen to the news, guess what the news is going to tell you? The world's going to crap.
Bad news.
Everything's bad. They never report good news, right? So I only listen to the news. Like I just the news is on the pot, right? You consume the news on your phone when you're sitting on the pot. That's what it all is.
Poop in your life, baby.
Yeah, poop in your life, right? So I don't listen to the news in the car or things like that. But that's my time, right? Because I'm back and forth between the locations quite a bit, and I can quiet down. And sometimes I don't listen to anything. Like if I'm going in early to work, or if I'm moving from one gym early, dude, I just enjoy the sunrise, and my quiet time is in my vehicle.
Yeah. There's something about early mornings that it's just so magical.
It absolutely
There's
is.
no other time of the day where you have that peace and everybody's not demanding that, because once you step into
Yep.
work, game on. Everybody is going after your energy.
My wife likes to ask questions like, why do you get out in the woods and hunt and duck hunt? And I grew up deer hunting and things like that, because we're from the South. But it was like, I enjoy the peace of quiet. Like there's no phones, there's nothing. It's just quiet. And, when you're duck hunting, you got people around, you're talking. But when that sun starts to rise, not a lot of people are talking. It's quiet, and it's beautiful, man. You enjoy. God created this. We need to enjoy it.
There's a lot to be said in saying nothing.
That's right.
Amen. Hey, so we'll kick it. So the last one that we discussed as poop in your life, and there's a lot of poop in your life, and we've stayed at broad categories, but fleshly desires. So we've been preaching today, right? So let's go. I'm going to keep preaching. So Matthew 26:41 says, "The spirit is willing, but the body is weak." That's one of my favorite verses. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak. And then John 6:63 says, "The spirit gives life, the flesh counts for nothing." So let me break this down a little bit. And our pastor actually broke this out. And I really love it because I'm not sure that I ever looked at how were we created in this way. But we are designed in three parts: the flesh, the soul, and the spirit. And the flesh being, this is what it's our flesh. It's what's in the world. right? Our soul, which a lot of people will think is that's what, when we die, that's what goes on to heaven. And that's your soul is your emotions, and your spirit is your spirit. And that's what wants to connect with God's spirit. And I never had heard that before, but I was like, that is so brilliant, because now I don't feel so bad about why I'm all over the place, why I feel why certain thoughts come to me, and why I have certain emotions. Okay, that's my soul. It may be out of sync, right? Or fleshly desires. It happens, man.
Yeah,
You crave, that's, you're in the world, and your body craves what's in the world.
absolutely.
But you have to have discipline in the spirit to overcome those things. And we're preaching today, baby. We are going after it. So, but fleshly desires is it's, we can just lay it down what it is. I mean, there's a lot of them that dads face and men face, and it can be unhealthy eating. It can be unhealthy lifestyle in terms of not working out. It can be pornography. It can be lust, which falls within pornography.
Mhm.
It can be, I mean, there's so many things out there that it's real easy to let your guard down. Addiction, drugs, alcoholism, things that people use to numb themselves of the world because they haven't been feeding their spirit. And to me, fleshly desires, that's some poop, man.
Yeah.
That let's call it sin, because that's what it is. But we all
Yeah.
sin, but
Yeah.
your flesh just craves so much. It wants that, and you have to conquer it. And that's why I like this, called the Fit Fat Dad podcast, because one of the ways that you beat down the flesh, and you, if you could talk to this a little bit, I'd really love for everybody to hear it. But beating down the flesh through physical exercise to a point of exhaustion and fatigue, that you don't have anything left but your spirit. You've passed through the emotions of feeling sorry for yourself, victim
Yep.
mentality. Your physical body is out of out of whack. It's not a problem anymore, and your spirit really connects. And you shared a little bit about it, but share again, like the final moments and of the Iron Man, and just walk
Yeah.
us through that again. I know you talked a little bit about that in episode one, but it's such a great example for this.
Yeah. So the only way I can describe it is I feel like this is what it's gonna be like when we get to heaven. Like I really do. Like I just the how I felt crossing, hitting that red carpet, and just the elation and the emotions that I felt. But prior to that, there were moments during that 15-hour and 45-minute day where it was, man, I got this. Oh, I don't have this. Oh my gosh, the weather's awful. Like, and there was a time where I was walking staggeredly by myself in a dark place on this course, and I didn't have anything left. I was ready to quit. Like, and at that point in time, negative thoughts were coming
So
into my head.
let me put this in context. At this point, and this is a great example of how persistent your flesh is. And it took this for you, right? And
Yep.
I credit your training, but you'd already swam what, 2.2 miles, 2.1,
2.4, and on
2.4,
this particular course, um, it was 116 miles on the bike. So
116
I'm
miles on the bike,
so I'm like 8.5 hours into this thing, or 8 hours into this thing, and I'm about mile, I think it was mile 10 on the marathon,
okay, so that's a
and
lot, that's a lot of work.
a lot of work had already been put in, and I mean, my body was done. Like my body was like it was done, and it was to the point of exhaustion, and nutrition was off, and just all these different things. And this was my first one, so but there was nothing. But what happened was I was so beat down, but I got to a certain point, and when I got to that point, God put people in my life standing around a freaking trash can, and I got to talking to two other people, and they were, "Hey, what lap are you on?" And I'm on lap, I'm almost done with lap one. Okay, cool. We're gonna walk together. And had it not been for that moment in time, I was done. I was ready to quit, call it, sit down, done.
Yeah.
But getting past that and getting on later in, I have never been more connected from a faith standpoint than I was after mile 13. From mile 13, carrying me the other half, it was just, I mean, it was all faith. And the guy next to me that was walking with me and talking. And I mean, we discussed faith and everything. Had he not been there, and God know that, I don't know if I would have been able to get it done. But
Yeah.
I'm here now to tell that story and to be able to say my flesh was beaten so down that there was nothing else to rely on but my faith, and he did, and he provided. And I think that's a testament to everything that we go through in life.
But had you listened to your flesh or your emotions, thoughts that were in your head, what were they saying? Quit.
Stop. Quit. Like, quit. You're not, I got to get to the aid station so I can sit down. My body was all over the place. I was wobbling. I don't, if anybody's ever been intoxicated before and had too much to drink, that's about what it was like.
Never.
Like, you just never. That's right. But if you have, and just vision out of focus, didn't quite know where I was. I knew I was on the right track, but just, walking staggeredly, it was bad. And I was totally beat down. And everything was telling me to quit. Everything was telling me to quit.
That's a really good example. And thanks for sharing that again. And I know we got to wrap up here, but and to kind of sum this up, so the fleshly desires, what I've realized, and I used to have this, and I know a lot of people do, that God's perception of us, of when we act on those fleshly desires and sin, is kind of an Old Testament, right? Like fire and brimstone, you sin, I'm coming after you. And that's not how it is at all. I am 100% convinced that God has the promised land, like things that are for our favor and blessing, and would just amplify our life to new heights that we can't even comprehend if we just gave up some of those fleshly desires. Mm-hmm. And some of those fleshly desires can be a comfortable routine.
Yep.
And by any standards, if you lay a comfortable routine is not bad, but if a comfortable routine doesn't align with all the things that God has planned for you,
that's right,
you miss out on. I'm convinced that if God could show us an image of like, here is everything that would happen if you would just let go of some of these things, we would just be like, let's go. None of this junk. I don't need the alcohol. I don't need this. I don't need to look at that. I don't need to spend time scrolling on social media and looking at stuff. It would be no problem. We'd just be like, let's go. Let's get it. Bring it on. But I think we get comfortable with it, and the comfort hides all the promise.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
So our comforts blind us from treasures.
That's right.
Which that sounds actually pretty intelligent, and I'll pin note that one as something intelligent today. So, hey, we will wrap it up here, and I know we kind of preached in that one, and that's okay because that's what we're going to do. And
that's right.
We'll bring it back with a little bit more lighthearted. So I'm real excited about this, Blair, and you may not know this, but on our next episode, I have secured a special guest.
Uh-oh.
And that special guest is my wife,
nice.
Head coach of the University of Alabama Chargers women's basketball team. And we are going to talk youth sports. So Coach Andrea Lemon is going to be on the call, and she is we're going to talk youth sports. She's going to bring a lot of insights into recruiting, when the recruiting process begins, crazy parents, and her view and outlook on things as a college coach. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this. I'm gonna poke her a little bit. I'm gonna be that jabbing husband that see if we can get something out of her. But
I'll be the raging sports dad.
Be the raging. Be that guy. So we're excited about that, and we're gonna start bringing in more guests, and it's gonna be so pumped, and we're excited about that. But Blair, any closing comments for you, buddy?
Man, no poopy thoughts. I'm going to close it out.
No poopy thoughts.
No poopy thoughts.
Flush it out, man.
Flush it out. That's right.
We ain't got time for that junk.
Nope.
We ain't got time for that junk, baby.
No.
All right. Good people. Well, hey, always a pleasure. Keep listening. Keep sharing. Tell your friends. I guess we'd say subscribe. I don't know how that all
I
works.
don't know how.
If
Hit
you
that
like
like
it,
button,
send it
subscribe,
send it to a
share it.
friend.
That's right.
Whatever, man. But hey, we love you guys, and we'll see you in episode 4. Youth Sports. Over and out.